Remember it all in images. Remember fear. Groups of people stand motionless around us. Families, neighbors, and friends, all motionless. An infinite distant scream fills the air. It's the final scream of every man, woman, and child. Growing closer rapidly. She stops running and she turns to me, teary-eyed. She's yelling, "Come with me, please." She motions towards her chest vigorously, crying. Color begins to empty from the crowd. Mouths open, eyes wide. Her face is bright red. "He's coming," I say softly. My lips mimic, "This is the end." Things change suddenly in her, like shattering glass. Her gaze shifts to my left instantly, and she falls to her knees. Her red face contorting, both hands open full and stretched out in front of her. Her mouth is ungodly wide. I can't hear over the screeching masses around us. As I turn, the multitudes collapse in seconds. Some run, some cower, some attempt defense. Gunfire from somewhere, and then I see him. He's at the entry of the complex. Daylight seems to bend along his frame, emitting a kind of pressure. He slices through the gathering systematically. The large blades, his forearms, are a blur of motions. I see arms lifted, vain screams, swarming. This is what we are now. One being, one creature, moving together, terrified. My body turns cold and my knees give. Before I know it, he's there, just before me. Metal casing coated in blood, dead behind him in mid-fall. And it's my turn, looking up to him, wide-eyed, immobile. The ground seems to pull me suddenly. I disappear. Everything disappears.
Demon Nolan is everywhere now. In this time. The coughing alleyway bum. Solid-featured businessman boarding the bus. She's the clerk at the convenience store across the street. Looking on from behind a month-old newspaper as a mid-30s male investor. Drinking coffee. In this time, Demon Nolan is everywhere. Her one common trait is cold, unmoving eyes. Silence from street to street. All humans are her. The coffee cup floats between his hands as he fingers the bottom rim. He's watching, hidden eyes behind fake sunglasses. His gaze is dead. What seems like miles and miles of nothing across the table is my partner, Smiley. Smiley waits in a different city every day. He genuinely looks like he's dying. All of the time. They tell me where it is and I drive to meet him. Drive for days, drive all night. It's difficult to tell from a motel window what city you're in. He has to take care of himself. I'm told humans should. Sitting, he hangs motionless like a dying tree, burnt from the inside. I can't tell if he's staring at me or not. He's frozen for a moment and then picks up the file. "Fuck you," he says. "The coffee shop is dead. We didn't buy anything either." Smiley's staring at me when I look back to him. "Could you be any creepier?" I say, getting up. His typical black hole nothing response. Demon Nolan stands naked at her suite window, staring over downtown. The real Demon Nolan stands naked at her suite window, gun in one hand, lit cigarette in another. Her skin is pale. She kneels herself to the whiskey glass and pulls it to her chest. Behind her, the suite becomes a maze of advanced electronics, tubing and hydraulic hissing. Blinking control panels and meters decorate the $4,000 per night room. She puts out a cigarette and then turns to the equipment. Pressing a few buttons, she downs the whiskey. She enters the conveyor chamber and activates the sequence. The world goes black. There is only her.
In dreams, I still see and hear him, my operation director. I see him in precise detail, old skin, flaky white hair. His voice cracks and whines. Brand. The tubes go down into the desert for miles. They are gigantic. Miles broad and plated in strange reflective metal. They reach out of the ground and into the sky, slowly fading into blue nothing. This valley is filled with these tubes, some in clusters and some alone, running in a straight line across the planet. They're worn and ages old, some arching several miles into the air, only to return to the weather-cracked valley floor. Passing by, the wind pulls past these giants viciously against me. Their haunting presence cannot be ignored. Dwarfing the sound of the howling wind is the occasional creaking of these enormous tubes. It starts as a low rumble deep beneath the desert and erupts into a clear shriek of shifting metal. I love the sound. I've passed the giant tubes countless times. Now I stand and watch them. Under the midday light, I begin to read the document. Page after page, the papers fly off into the wind as I read them. I'm half through when I stop. I look up. Something different. Bright colors can be seen between the fluttering pages. Blues, whites, and yellows become a small dress-bound figure. A child, hands clasped in front. Her smiling face is pink with wide eyes focused on me. She's waiting for me to ask, "Haven't I killed you?" I lower my head, confused. "Haven't I killed all of you?" "I'm not real," she says, smiling. She tells me it's over. I tilt my head back and fade away.
A puddle forms under George Grant where he stands in the lobby. His hair still wet and tossed from the shower. He's studying the Ployer through the tall window deep within the compound. It's standing still in one of the chemical cleaning chambers. Colorful gases blast around it. George clutches a wrapped towel around his waist. Day 5 of the cleaning process. Segments of the Ployer's armor illuminate under a quick-moving robot arm. He moves toward the window, focusing on the robot's face, mouth open. The head turns to meet his glance, eerily steady. George jumps, startled, then waves, smiling. He jumps again when looking up to see Emma Nolan, Operation Ployer's chief executive, staring down to him from the upper control room. Her arms are crossed. It's not hate in her eyes. It's like a disgust.
Inflamed eyes, hypersensitive. It's early morning through the loose stitching of an old blanket.
The bed is long and calm with an old oak headrest, sheets sprawled. She swaying back and forth on the edge of the bed, trying to swallow. A deep blue tint and dust particles fill the room. Seems every piece of her doesn't belong. She sits undressed, unable to waken. A dream state of unreal surroundings, eyes wide but unable to focus. She rubs her face and sighs, a challenge from inside of her to say something. Anything.
George?
A month earlier, all he said was, "Please don't." The previous month he was saying he loved her. He's bright in her memory, still. Difficult to forget him for some reason.
You don't know. You may end up somewhere I can't go. Somewhere I can't help you.
It's the second-story room of an old beachside house that seems so alien. A blur of antiques pass her as she stumbles away from the bed. The bathroom makes her cold, lurching to the shower curtain. Steadying herself with one hand against the tile wall, she cringes, tight-eyed, looking upward.
We've seen negative results before, Ema. Permanent side effects, Ema.
That's bullshit, she says. Hot water streams down her, probing her eyelids softly with her fingertips, mouth open. Who was the test subject? She asks. The other hand palms its fingertips wildly. Desperate, attempting reorientation. Now a tightened fist. Slurping and hissing sounds reverberate across the shower. She turns quickly. Repulsion. Feelers of all sizes grip the tile walls, pulsating and trembling. The tentacles leave black slime traces, flailing against the interior of the tub. Reality folds toward it from somewhere. George looks to his shoes morosely. Its mammoth jaw snaps open wide, screeching. Dark, see-through skin pulls tight around its face.